Hey, thanks for joining me today on this Fact Check Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to dive into the world of news where truth is just a word and misleading is the name of the game. Today, I want to talk about corporate news. You know, the trusted source of information that's about as reliable as a politician's promise. Yeah, now I'm not saying news outlets are terrible. Some of them are, well, okay, they're terrible. It's like playing a game of how can we twist the facts to fit our own narrative? And boy, are they winning. It's almost impressive, like watching a gymnast perform Olympic-level mental contortions. Yeah. But let's not be too hard on them. After all, they've got a tough job. They need to grab your attention, keep you glued to their screen, make you believe the world is falling apart, so you keep tuning back in. And it's like a soap opera, but more commercials and less attractive actors. Turn on the news and they're like, breaking news, something incredibly important happened today in a world of celebrity gossip or something. Who cares, right? Who cares? But hey, you know, it's a distraction from, you know, pesky issues that, you know, really matter. So let's not forget the art of selective reporting. They cherry pick a story that fits their agenda, conveniently leaving out anything that might challenge their narrative. It's like going to a buffet and only filling up on a plate of Jell-O with marshmallows. I mean, sure, it's delicious, but you're missing out on the important stuff like vegetables. Hey, news outlet, please serve us some vegetables. But here's the kicker, folks. It's not about what they report, it's also about what they don't report. Remember those times when something truly groundbreaking happened and you only found out about it months later? Yeah, that's not on accident. They bury stories like a game of hide and seek, and they're the reigning champs. And let's not forget about the talking heads, who are so predictable, they could host a show called The Blatantly Biased Hour. They'll spew their rhetoric like it's gospel. They expect us to swallow it without questioning. Sorry, I prefer a little more substance in my news diet. So, my fellow truth seekers, let's not fall victim to the game of smoke and mirrors. Let's be savvy consumers of information. Let's question, fact check, demand better from news outlets that claim to inform us. And remember, folks, the truth is out there, just not necessarily on your TV. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee and Nuance Show, the best censored commentary and news show live right now. Flame on. Yeah, so corporate news. That was it. If you're expecting some fact checks today, you are in luck because it is Fact Check Friday on this May 19th, 2023. My name's Tom Coffey. I'm on all the social medias at Coffee and Nuance. We're streaming live on YouTube and on Rumble, rumble.com/Coffee and Nuance/live. You should bookmark that, and if you haven't signed up for Rumble yet, link in the description. Do it today. That's what I hope you do. But like most good TV, I've given you the thumbnail. We're going to talk about some fact checking, but first, we got to go to some other stories, okay? Because that's what you do. You entice somebody in, and then you try to keep them watching as long as you can. So we'll get to the fact check in just a moment, but first up, there's been a new announcement in the Democratic primary. Guess what, folks? In the race for the Democratic primary nomination, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has picked none other than Dennis Kucinich as his campaign manager. Talk about a dynamic duo. It's a blast from the past. And with Kennedy and Kucinich teaming up, to bring a progressive dream team. Kennedy must have thought, hey, if I want to take on Biden, corrupt Biden, I need someone who knows how to lose gracefully. And Kucinich, a two-time presidential candidate, certainly has that down pat. And let's not forget his other qualifications. He's been mayor, congressman. He even proposed a federal Department of Peace. Genius. Yeah, we all know how peaceful politics can be. So get ready for a campaign. It's going to be like a roller coaster ride. Progressive policies, policy twists and turns. Buckle up, America. Kennedy Kucinich Express is on its way. So that's the main story I wanted to lead with today. Dennis Kucinich, I am a big fan. And I guess, you know, we're supposed to disclose stuff. So had my shirt arrived, I would be wearing a Kennedy shirt. Because so far, I kind of like how he challenges authority, and I want to support that. I am not a registered Democrat, but I'm in Oregon, and so primaries don't matter because we're right near the end. Oregon doesn't get to do a whole lot of deciding when it comes to primary elections anyway. But I guess full disclosure, I did purchase a Kennedy t-shirt. I ordered it off his website. Doesn't have Prime shipping because I would have had it by now. I ordered it like a week ago. Still waiting on it. But I guess you should know that I have, I would say written him a check, but we don't write checks anymore, right? Anyway, but I like RFK Jr., and I'm really happy that he has Dennis Kucinich as his manager. You know, a lot of people, and I just want you to keep this in mind, because I know that most of the people that are watching this show, you're much savvier than the average news consumer. And you're probably hip to a lot of how the media manipulates things. But maybe you've only come around to it recently. You know, probably 5 years ago, I had no idea that the media just manipulated everything. I didn't know. I was kind of out of the loop. I learned about it myself through doing this show. And so maybe when you're thinking back to Dennis Kucinich, you don't realize how much the media just absolutely smeared him and maligned him. And at the time, if you weren't hip to what the media was doing, you may have a real negative impression about him. But I find Dennis Kucinich to be a man of principle, and there's not a whole lot of that in politics these days. I was looking for the picture that I have. Somewhere I have a picture because I went to a Dennis Kucinich fundraiser breakfast. I think it was a breakfast or a brunch, something like that. And I got a picture with him. I will say Dennis Kucinich, way taller than Pete Buttigieg. Not even close. So I'm excited about this. I think that this is a good thing. I think we need people that believe in peace, that are against the military-industrial complex, and that tells me what I need to know about RFK Jr. Choosing Dennis Kucinich as his campaign manager shares a lot of the same values that I have. Now, to be clear, RFK Jr. is the DNC will never allow him to win the primary. It's not going to happen. I don't care if he's got 90% of the vote. The DNC is going to change it. And legally, they're allowed to do that. We learned about that over the last couple of years through a DNC lawsuit where we found out that, according to their bylaws, it doesn't matter what the vote is. They get to choose whoever they want anyway. So, unfortunately, that doesn't sound very democratic. But I like that RFK Jr. is bringing some attention to some important issues, and I think Dennis Kucinich is the man to really help him do that. So, congrats on that. That's real happy. I'm really excited about that. Did I spell his name wrong? I probably spelled his name wrong there. Yeah, that doesn't look right. That happens. That happens. I was typing that up this morning before I went and taught 2 of my fitness classes, and then I came back just in time to do the show. So, yeah, I probably spelled his name wrong. Sorry about that. But Nick, oh yeah, just some of the things that he has. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Dennis Kucinich did oppose the Iraq War, and he did propose creating a federal Department of Peace. I mean, right there, those are 2 things that I am in support of, and I think that that's something that a lot of people can agree on. So he was right on both of those, and I would say most politicians were wrong. So anyway, next story. I guess we can do a little fact checking, right? We can revise some things. Let's get to it. Let's talk about the Washington Post. Okay. Did you hear about the Washington Post reporter who misquoted Senator John Fetterman? Yeah, apparently he took the phrase fake news to a whole new level. It's like he went from reporting to, quote, fabrication. I guess we all know we can add transcript doctor to his resume, but hey, at least he apologized and admitted his mistake. That's a rarity in politics these days. Maybe he should switch careers and become a magician instead. He already has a talent for making words disappear. So yeah, Washington Post reporter Jeff Stein apologized after misquoting Senator John Fetterman during a Senate Banking Committee hearing. Stein attributed a quote to Fetterman that didn't match what he actually said in the video. Fetterman, who returned to the Senate after a leave of absence for depression, has speech difficulties due to a stroke. Stein deleted the tweet and blamed the misquote on Fetterman's office. Way to take responsibility there. Critics questioned the reporter's failure to verify the talking point given by Democratic politicians. So this is kind of nuts. This is kind of nuts. Well, I have the quote on the screen. Am I able to make that bigger so I can read it? But basically what happened here is that rather than giving the quote of what he said, he just took the quote that the campaign sent him. The campaign sent out a transcript, or not a campaign, his office made a transcript, and guess what? Politicians don't necessarily have trustworthy people working for them. Yeah, absolutely. So, let's see if I can make this bigger so I can read it. So, apparently, what the quote was, he shouldn't have a working requirement after we bail out your bank. Republicans seem to be more preoccupied with SNAP requirements for hungry people than protecting taxpayers that have to bail out these banks. Well, okay, we can understand that quote. But here's what he actually said. Should you have a working requirement after we sell your bank, billions of your bank, because they seem to be more preoccupied than SNAP requirements for works for hungry people, but not about protecting the taxpayers with bail, no matter whatever does about a bank to crash it. That's what he actually said. But who needs to do an actual fact check when we can just take the words of his office and put that out there? It's kind of like they're trying to rewrite history in real time. Didn't work this time. It didn't catch on. He had to delete the tweet. But how about this for an excuse? the excuse is that, oh, I made a mistake. That's the transcript that they sent me. Really? You're a reporter for one of the most famous newspapers in the history of newspapers, the Washington Post, and you don't bother to check to see if the words that this guy who everybody knows has a problem talking, but somehow the transcript is perfect without any mistakes? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I mean, we should try to take people at their word, but I don't buy it at all. But either way, it's not a good look. I mean, if you don't check a quote, then you're a terrible journalist and you should probably be fired. I mean, you shouldn't be working for the Washington Post if you're making that kind of mistake. So, I don't know. Either way, whether you believe him or not, I give it 4 Pinocchios, right? That's a terrible, terrible thing, but it I guess it's refreshing that he owned up to it. Yeah, so I guess that's a good thing. But now, as many of you know, I'm living in Portland, Oregon. Got a little Portland news for you. Hey, folks, you hear about Portland's population decline? Yeah, apparently they're really committed to social distancing. Even when it came to their residents, they took Keep Portland Weird to a whole new level. It's like they said, you know what? We're tired of being trendy and cool. Let's try to be a ghost town chic. But hey, don't worry, Portland. If you keep this up, you might become the ultimate hipster haven, the only city where the population decline is ironically mainstream. Stay weird, Portland. So that's... So it turns out Portland experienced a significant population decline during the pandemic, making it one of the fastest shrinking large cities in the United States. So from July 2020 to 2022, population decreased 2.8%, which was the 6th largest drop among big cities in the U.S. San Francisco had the sharpest decline, losing 7.1% of its population during the time. In terms of numbers, Portland lost over 18,200 residents in the 2-year period, placing it among the cities with the largest numeric decline. However, despite the population loss, New York remains the largest city in the country. Portland maintains its rank as the 26th most populous city. On the other hand, cities in the South experienced population growth, with Fort Worth, Texas leading the way with a 3.6 increase in residents over that time period. Also saw the largest numeric growth in the nation during the year leading up to July 2022, adding 19,170 people. So that's a kind of ironic because I moved to Portland from Fort Worth, 20 years ago, whatever. I think perhaps Portland actually did lose more people than it's reporting. A lot of the people that left were replaced by people living on the streets that have moved here from other parts of the country because, all drugs are legal here and you can shoot up and camp anywhere you want to. So there's thousands of people that have moved here over that same time frame. But yeah, Portland, not as hip as it once was, people leaving. Will I leave? I'd like to. We'll just have to see. We'll have to see. But let's go back to DC and check out some of the nonsense that's happening there. Have you heard about the latest episode of Congressional Clash? starring Representative Jamal Bowman and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's like watching a comedy sketch gone horribly, horribly wrong. These two are more interested in trading insults than actually getting things done. Bowman accused Greene of putting a target on his back and playing on racist tropes. Yeah. Let's be honest, his reaction seems a bit exaggerated. Yeah. I mean, come on. He's comparing himself to victims like Emmett Till and Michael Brown. It's like he's auditioning for a role in a political soap opera. And then there's Bowman's claim that Greene is using a bullhorn to target him. Really? I thought politicians were supposed to have thick skin. If a few words from Greene can shake his confidence that much, maybe you should consider a career change. And let's not forget about MTG's defense. She says Bowman has a history of aggression and feels threatened. Look, I'm not saying Bowman's a saint, but accusing him of being a menace based on a few heated exchanges, a bit of a stretch. It's like Greene is also auditioning for a role in a reality TV show where drama reigns supreme. So this happened on the steps of Congress. They were shouting at each other, and afterwards, I got to tell you, I found it really embarrassing. Afterwards, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she said that she felt intimidated by Bowman because he was shouting at her and, kind of getting up in her face. And here's the thing, right? If you're a big dude, you can't be as loud as other people. You can't be as loud as a little woman. I know it's unfair, right? If the little woman is raising her voice, if you're a big dude, you can't raise your voice. It's scary to a lot of people. I know this because I'm bigger than Bowman, right? We're about the same height. I think he's listed about 200 pounds. A little over 6 foot, probably 6 foot. I'm like 235, a little over 6 foot. I know I have a big booming voice. If I raise my voice, people think that I'm yelling at them. So I know that I can't do that. If I get excited, people get intimidated by that. You have to be aware of who you are and how you present yourself. Okay? So Bowman, because he's a big dude, and I would say anybody that's 6 foot, 200 pounds or bigger is a big dude, right? And anybody that's a big dude, you can't yell. You can't raise your voice at a woman. It's really intimidating. It is. But what gets worse, though, okay, is he then turned around and said that Marjorie was reckless and dangerous remarks, and Bowman accused Greene of putting him in danger and playing on racist stereotypes that demonize black men. Yeah. He mentioned historical incidents like the lynching of Emmett Till, killing of Michael Brown, to support his criticism. Give me a freaking break. That is grandstanding to a level I wouldn't have imagined, but that's what this guy does. It was interesting. AOC interrupted them, and also everyone's favorite George Santos was there too. Kind of a fun scene. But then anyway, Bowman called Marjorie Taylor Greene a white supremacist, which she strongly denied. Bowman described Greene's comments as typical of white supremacists who dehumanize black people. That kind of accusation, that's dangerous. That's very dangerous to accuse somebody of that. And I think it is 100% unacceptable for a congressman to use that kind of language. If I mean, we shouldn't be violent, but MTG said calling me a white supremacist is like using the N-word. And I understand that. But honestly, I think it, in many ways, it's a lot more dangerous to call someone a white supremacist, because if you are labeled a white supremacist, you could be then the victim of violence. Okay? And the N-word, right? If that's not the case at all. If someone used the N-word against Bowman, the person using the N-word would also be the victim of violence. So I think Bowman is totally in the wrong here. MTG, you know, she's doing her thing. I think you can criticize her as well. But I think that it's fair, in my opinion, that if you're a big dude and you're shouting at somebody, that people can say, I feel intimidated by that. Sorry, that's just how the universe works. In the United States, less than 10% of men are 6 foot or above. Less than 10%. So if you're 6 foot, you're tall. And if you're over 200 pounds, you're big. And if you're both of those things, you're big and tall. Yeah, you can be intimidating. And it has nothing to do with the color of your skin. You can be an intimidating black guy. You can be an intimidating white guy. You can be an intimidating Asian man, whatever. If you're that big, you're intimidating. Sorry. That's just how it is. And to then turn around and say, you can't call a black man who raises his voice intimidating, that's a racist trope. Give me a frickin' break. You're a big dude. You're raising your voice. And he defended himself. He said, I had middle school principal energy. Give me a break. Not buying it. Anyway, I think, I don't know. That's about all I got on that. If you have any thoughts on it, I'm not impressed by Bowman at all. I'd like to be. I mean, I want to be a fan of people in Congress. But this playing the victim when you're a big dude and you're a congressman, shut up. Just shut up. You know? And you have to recognize if you are that much bigger than someone else, you got to tone it down just a little bit. Just turn it down a notch. I have actually... This happens to me a lot. I actually made somebody cry at my work. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. I was talking like I'm talking now. It wasn't, you know, a big deal. But I was just talking like I'm talking. And she felt really intimidated by that and started crying. Now, I kind of thought that was ridiculous, but that's the thing. If you're big, you got to be careful about your volume. You got to keep it in check. That's the way it works. Anyway, let's talking about leaving Portland. This might be one of the reasons. Let's check it out. Did you hear about Target's latest earnings report? It's like they're playing a game of hide and... I wrote these jokes last night. I didn't read them before the show. So, obviously, I'm screwing up the punchline here. Hey, did you hear about the latest earnings report? It's like playing a game of hide and profit. Their profits are slipping, and now they're dealing with rising theft. Playing a real-life version of Supermarket Sweep with the wrong contestants. I guess you could say Target's becoming the bullseye, but-um-bump, for thieves. But hey, at least their customers are getting some cardio in, dodging shoplifters, grabbing those last-minute deals. Who needs a gym membership when you can get your heart rate up just during a grocery run? Target might need to start selling security cameras as part of their buy one, catch one promotion. It's a tough time for retailers, folks. Let's hope Target can hit the bullseye on their profits soon, or they might have to change their name to Missed the Mark. Yeah. Target reported a decline in quarterly profit and gave a cautious outlook for sales and profit. Companies facing rising costs, including theft, and consumers are becoming more cautious about their spending. Despite this, Target exceeded Wall Street expectations and maintained its annual profit guidance. Attention is focused on the impact of inflation, credit tightening on customers. Home Depot also reported a decline in sales for their first quarter. Target's net income for the quarter decreased by nearly 6%. While sales increased 0.6%, the retailer's profits had declined for 5 consecutive quarters, but the decline was smaller this time. Target expects theft-related losses to be higher than last year, potentially exceeding $1.2 billion with a B dollars. The company plans to increase security measures, lock up certain items to address the issue. Target's continuing to invest in stores and online services to remain competitive. So, wow, over $1 billion to theft. It's kind of hard to fathom, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to even picture $1 million, but $1 billion in theft is just incredible. And we've seen a lot of the organized retail theft rings here in Portland. Walmart closed up all their shops here within the city limits of Portland. They were tired of all of the theft, and they closed down their stores that had been here since I moved here 20 years ago. Target's dealing with that as well, but over $1 billion. Do you see that in your news feed? Because if not, there might be a reason. There might be a reason for that. But I guess it's Friday. Let's get to the fact check. I've put it off long enough. Hey, did you hear about NBC News getting fact-checked by Twitter users for using a misleading photo in a tweet about an explicit LGBTQ book? I mean, come on, NBC. That's like showing a picture of a happy family enjoying a picture while talking about the dangers of skydiving. Talk about a misleading visual aid. But hey, at least we know NBC has mastered the art of fake news photo selection. Maybe they should start offering classes in misleading imagery 101 in journalism schools. I can already hear the course description. Learn how to perfectly pair totally unrelated visuals with controversial headlines. And voila, you've got yourself a viral tweet. But who needs accuracy when you got clickbait? Am I right? NBC News faced fact-checking by Twitter users for using a misleading photo in a tweet about an explicit LGBTQ book found in school libraries. The tweet mentioned an Illinois teacher who offered the book to her students, but the photo showed her holding a different book. How about that? Twitter users pointed out the mistake and flagged the tweet as misleading, stating the actual book, This Book is Gay, that's the title of the book, contained explicit content. The teacher defended reading the book, but resigned after being put on paid leave. Users criticized NBC for not showing the reasons behind parents' objections to the book. The book, which discusses sexual topics, was ranked 9th among the most banned books in the U.S., according to Vanderbilt University. So, yeah. Let's see if we can make this a little bigger here, if I can. But this is what they did on Twitter with the community notes. Now, I will say that I think it was John that hooked me up with it. I can't remember. Someone in the Discord gave me a link to sign up to be part of community notes on Twitter, and I did sign up, and so now when I see community notes, I can rate it myself, whether I think that it's a good community note, if it's helpful, if it's useful, those types of things. And I've done that for a number of stories this week. I think that's been good. But the community note here that it says underneath the original tweet, the tweet was in Illinois. Just listen to how biased NBC reports this. An Illinois teacher offered her middle schoolers a best-selling LGBTQ-themed book. Parents filed a police report over a book choice. That's all the context you get from NBC, right? Oh, it was a best-selling book and parents didn't like it because they're bigots, right? I mean, that's the implication. Well, the book that they showed in the picture was wrong, and the book in question is This Book is Gay. That's the title. And it explains how to find sexual partners online and contains sexually explicit pictures. So, yeah. You can understand why people might not want that in their elementary school library. But you see, NBC, you see how they frame it. NBC frames it in a way that it's kind of anti-parent, anti-family. You know, oh, you bigoted parents. Schools know best. That's what NBC is saying. So, but on the community notes, it was real interesting. And I want you to keep this in mind. Anytime you see something really interesting online, you got to make sure that you archive it. Okay. So to archive something, you can just go to archive.ph or .is or just Google, how do I archive? And you put the link in and they'll make a snapshot of that and it'll be saved. I had a really interesting story that I was going to share about the community notes, and I didn't archive it, and they deleted it. And I missed out. Because what I saw with, and I'm getting pretty impressed with community notes. Community notes on Twitter is if there's something that is misleading, people can add a note underneath it, and then people can say that's a, you know, they can vote that up or vote that down. And there was a community note that was absolutely BS. And I said, oh, this will be a good story because this community note is not good at fact checking. I rated it not good. And that community note got deleted. So far, I do think that community notes on Twitter is really the best fact checking that we have. It's better than the fact-checking sites Snopes or factcheck.org or PolitiFact. It's better than all of those. So, yeah. But NBC, I want you to keep this in mind about NBC. And you may think that, Tom, this is you're a big conspiracy theorist, Tom. In my opinion, NBC is the news network most closely aligned with the permanent state of the U.S., the permanent infrastructure, the deep state, if you will. Those people in Washington, D.C. that are in the American political system, no matter who's president, they're there when Republicans are in charge or Democrats are in charge. They're the permanent state of D.C. is most closely aligned with NBC News. That is their choice. NBC News is the closest. I've looked at this over the past, going back like 30 years, and every single time that they come out with something, it's NBC that aligns the closest with permanent Washington. So you have to wonder, why would permanent Washington be pushing this, explicit LGBTQ stuff for kids? I don't understand why. I can't read their mind, but I find it odd. I find it odd. If you want to speculate, let me know in the comments. And as always, stick around for the after show, where I'll be going through all your comments on Rumble and on YouTube. That's after I play the goodbye music and you see the credits. Stick around because I'll be going through all of those. But lastly, we got some good news. But hang on. Hang on. The good news that we have is not actually good news today. Let me tell you about it. Okay, so... That was not the one I wanted. Well, we'll get rid of that. Oh yeah, there we go. Good news. She's excited. She just heard some good news on her phone. Yeah! Okay, so the good news article that I had for you today was about 3 children and a baby survived for weeks in the Colombian jungle after a plane crashed. Okay, and so that was really good news. And right before I was coming on the air today, it turned out that that didn't happen. Reports of children surviving the Amazon plane crash unconfirmed, the Colombian president now says. So I got this from USA Today. 5 minutes. Was it 5 minutes? No. An hour and 5 minutes before I went live. This was published on USA Today. The president of Colombia deleted a social media post saying that 4 children had survived a plane crash in the Amazon, raising questions about the fate of the passengers on the plane that crashed more than 2 weeks ago. President Gustavo Petro on Wednesday declared joy for the country after initially saying military forces found 4 children, aged 11 months, 4, 9, and 13, alive in the forest. But on Thursday, he deleted the tweet, and instead, the reports of the discovery could not be confirmed, and the search was ongoing, according to Reuters. I'm sorry it happened, Petro said, according to Reuters. At this time, there's no other priority other than moving forward with the search until you find them. The children's lives are the most important. So, they have the Colombian army is out there. They're searching for anyone that could be a survivor in the thing from the plane crash. But it's not good news, or at least now. I always like to have good news at the end of the show for the good news segment. But it turns out this good news was fake news. That happens sometimes. Now, what will be interesting is this story was reported on a lot of good news sites. You know, these sites that bring together different positive stories of the day. And I don't think that they have a whole lot of fact-checking on these good news sites. So it's going to be interesting to see if they ever delete this story or not. I suspect that they will not. I think that this story will just remain on all of the good news sites as a positive story, even though it's not true. And that does lead me to believe, or makes me reconsider, my responsibility when I pull a good news story. I should probably make sure that it's true, because this story wasn't true, and I don't think they're going to delete it off of the sites that I get positive stories from. So, you know, we keep going on and we keep learning more, and we have to revise how we do things. But I need to make sure that if I tell you a good news story, that I've actually verified it, and just not take it just because it's a story, just take it for granted that it's true. Because in this case, not true. Anyway, that's all I got for you today on this Friday. It's a beautiful day here in Portland. I hope it's a beautiful day where you are, and you have an awesome weekend. Stick around for the after show. I'll be going through all your comments. And until Monday, have a great weekend. Peace. Here we are. That's what AI thinks I look like. Semi-accurate. I think it made me fleshed out the color of my skin a little better. I'm a bit redder than this guy here. Anyway, let's go through some of the comments. Got lots of stuff happening over there on Rumble. I do appreciate everybody that's there on the Rumble. Duggo hit me up with $5. It's a hashtag Fact Check Friday. Indeed, it is. Thanks for that, Duggo. Appreciate that. Fact Check Friday, Rumble Gang Gang. That's right. Greetings, Earthlings, says Karma Michelle. Portland News. Yep. Y'all getting replaced by migrants. We do have a lot of migrants moving here to Portland. Portland is a sanctuary city, and so a lot of people get a free trip from Texas to come up here. There's lots of a lot of homeless, actually, not migrants, but homeless are sent here from other cities. They just buy a bus ticket. They say, wouldn't you like to be in Portland? And they just send them this way. Bowman knows exactly what he's doing to people, and the intimidation is intentional because he's a bully. I do think he's a bully, indeed. Karma Michelle does not like Bowman at all. Not a big fan either. How come Democrats never resign when they get caught doing shady crap? You know what? That's all around. That's all politicians. That's across the political spectrum. Even when you get caught, most of the time they don't resign. All he's doing is clout chasing. He wants to be famous these days. Well, that's a good way to do it because characters like Marjorie Taylor Greene and AOC really are energy monsters. They really do draw a lot of attention to themselves. And so if you need some attention, go to where the attention is. So actually, it's not a bad strategy. I just don't like the bulliness. And I especially resent anyone accusing somebody of racism when there's no evidence of racism. I think that that's despicable, in my opinion. Okay, and so let's see what's happening over on the YouTubes. Lots. Oh man, look at all these. All of these comments. Everybody checking in at the beginning. We got lots of emojis. I like that. People saying hi. I really like the community that's developed here on the channel for the live shows. Leaving comments. But if you are watching the replay of this, if you're watching the replay on YouTube, if you're watching the replay on Rumble or on BitChute, be sure to leave a comment. Be sure to leave a like because that's how I know that you're out there. I mean, I know that the people that are commenting live are watching the show and enjoying the show. But if you're watching it later, leave a comment as well, because I do read all of those. Lucid Moment says, best censored commentary. I like that. Never heard of the Dennis guy. Oh, well, the reason that you never heard of Dennis Kucinich is because the media totally hid him. They hid him. They gave him no media attention whatsoever. But he was a congressman. He is, I will say, the politician the male politician with the best looking wife alive. And so, you know, if you want to judge somebody by their wife, that's another thing about Dennis Kucinich, because his wife is stunning, and just stunning, really, really smart lady. Hey, Tom, you may only wear Hawaiian shirt. No, Tom, you may only wear Hawaiian shirts. Well, I was going to wear the T-shirt underneath the Hawaiian shirt, you see. We can also call them Aloha shirts. Call them Aloha shirts. Kennedy will fall into line like the rest, I'm afraid to say. I don't know if he will. If you've been paying attention to him, if you've read any of his books, he doesn't fall in line. He does not fall in line. So I would not be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised either way. Let's just say that. But as far as integrity goes, and for what someone is fighting for, you know, here's the thing. There's no politician that I agree with 100% on. There's probably no politician I agree with 50% on. Okay? I'm not looking for that. But I want someone that's willing to fight and that's willing to stand up for a couple of things that I agree with. And I think the number one thing for me is these stupid wars. I'm against stupid wars. Okay? That, for me, that's the most important thing. We all have our own issues. Maybe some people it's abortion, some people it might be the environment. We all have our own things that are like the most important. To me, it's like not bombing people. That's more important to me. And guess what? All of this military, all this war costs a lot of money. So I'm against all the spending on the war, and I'm actually against the bombing in wars too. Both of them. Okay? So to me, that's like my biggest issue. That's one of the things that I appreciate about Dennis Kucinich. That's one of the things that I appreciate about RFK Jr. And I'll say, I mean, he wasn't the best on it, but I do appreciate that Trump has called these, you know, a lot of these wars dumb, and he said that he would end the Ukraine war day one. I appreciate that, because I think it's a dumb war, and I think most wars are dumb. I'm not saying that there's never a time to fight. I'm not saying that at all, but I think most of the war stuff is dumb, and I'm against most of it. So for me, that's the big deal. Looks like a lava shirt. This does kind of look lava-y. I was a Kucinich delegate to the Washington State Democratic Convention in 2004. Very cool, Miranda. Very, very cool. That's awesome. I've never been a delegate, but that's cool. I do need to find the picture that I have of him, because now that I know that he's back in the public, it's something I'd love to just pop up on the screen. That and I'm so much bigger than him, it's kind of a funny picture. Let's see. Hot coffee, bad pun. Yeah, I'll do bad puns sometimes. I'm not above that. Yes, and I did spell his name wrong. So I got to work on it. You know, my little program for the chyrons does not have a spell check or any check at all, really. Natasha says, I do like Kennedy strictly for his vaccine position. I'm impressed by it. He has written a book about that subject that I think is very informative. Fetterman has a big health issues. He does. In fact, no one's really the same after a stroke. So it's, and after you've had a stroke, you don't appear as together as maybe you are. You know, you're just not able to present as well. And so I know that's got to be really tough. Tough thing to go through. Kucinich joined with Ron Paul to demand an audit of the Fed. Well, there's another example of why I like the guy. Fetterman definitely wrote that himself. Yeah, word salad regurgitated. What? Fact check? Just take their word for it. Come on, it's the Post. Yeah, just take their word for it. That's it. Tom, what we should do when you don't show Tom, what should we do when you don't show up Monday to Friday at this time? Who should we call for a wellness check? Well, I should be here. I mean, that's the plan. So, I don't know, but yeah, check on Twitter, because I do have Twitter on my phone now. I'm trying to learn about Twitter more and more. So that is something that you can always reach me on Twitter. Hi, all. Tom, I have a Fort Worth resident sitting with me right now. He's the Cowtown Marathon Cow. Nice. Nice. I don't think I ever did the Cowtown Marathon. Cowtown is Fort Worth. That was because the stockyards are in Fort Worth. And back in the day when they would have cattle runs or whatever it's called, the trains would meet in Fort Worth, and so the cattle would all be collected there at the stockyards in Fort Worth. Hence the nickname Cowtown. So I really enjoyed my time when I lived there. I especially liked the Wee Lounge. I think it's still around, right near TCU. That used to be a hang that I liked. Big dudes must speak quietly. It is true. And I do know that my voice really does project, and a lot of people accuse me of raising my voice when I'm just, if I lower it anymore, you're not going to be able to hear me. That's the thing. If you have a deep voice, if you try to speak softly, just people can't hear you. So it's a tricky thing. Kabuki theater to rile up both sides of the duopoly to keep us distracted. That's a pretty good synopsis of what corporate news is. So do we need weight classes to debate someone? We don't need weight classes for that. I understand. But the thing is, if first of all, their debate was ridiculous. They were just kind of yelling at each other. And I think that you can watch it. You can watch it and judge for yourself. I'm not going to tell you what I've already told you what I thought of the exchange. It was silly, and it was probably less than a minute. But Bowman not only yells, he yells over others instead of letting them answer. Yeah, I don't like that strategy. We saw that with Crystal Ball when she had RFK Jr. on this week. She just kept talking over him. Very annoying. Very annoying. You think it works, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Everybody sees what you're doing. One good to come from this story on Twitter, people were finally having a discussion of, hey, maybe we should stop calling people white supremacists willy-nilly and without evidence. I agree. That is a good thing moving forward. We shouldn't call people that. It's totally overused. Totally overused. It's good to know if people regard you as intimidating or not. I know it's funny, anytime I go to a club or a bar or something like that, I always get the, I used to do security, but I always get the nod, right, from the security guard. It's like, what's up? The first time I saw MTG, it was before she was in Congress, and she was trying to get to see AOC at AOC's office and videoing it. She wasn't alone. She had two black guys with her. Okay. Not just volume, but propensity. Okay. They were off target on their profits, indeed. Yeah, when MTG came into the scene, I think originally, she was doing all the QAnon stuff. And I think she's distanced herself from that. But But I think by speaking about some of that stuff, the corporate media just decided they know how they're going to paint her from here on out, and that's what they've done. Target has some new LGBT-focused clothing section now. Yeah. You know, a lot of stuff I don't even like talking about. I don't even like bringing it up. But I did see an article that Target had some stuff, some LGBTQ stuff for kids, and it wasn't, it just seemed really inappropriate. Yeah, let's see. What else we got here? I used to scan bodies at the airport, but didn't use the scanning machine to pick romantic interests. Oh, that's funny. Community note is the bee's knees. Yes, so far I do like community notes, and I was excited to do a story on community notes not being good, right? And the story I was going to do, it just disappeared. Like the bad community note, I think enough people said it was no good that they got rid of it, and so there went my story. So, but I'll keep watching the community notes and monitoring that and let you know if they're doing a good job or not. Lucid Moment says, Natasha, if I could get this group to go to Rumble, I wouldn't have to watch it on YouTube. Love you guys. Natasha says, I don't align with permanent Washington. Maybe that's why I lost my Fed government job. Perhaps. Good news. Bait and switch. Yeah, I did a bait and switch on the good news. I always like to have a good news story at the end of the day, send you off with something nice. But it turned out this good news stories was fake news. That happens sometimes. I don't think deleting stories that are wrong is good. I think it's better to edit with corrections, leaving the wrong too. Well, yeah, but the issue with that is then everybody knows that you were wrong. They don't want you to know that. That's why they delete it, right? Oh, Weiner resigned. Yeah, Anthony Weiner did resign, and he was a Democrat, so it's possible, right? But it's rare, either party, for people to resign. Most of the times they stick with it. I was on Rumble, still won't let me comment on your show. I was able to comment on others, so I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. I try to play both anyway, so you might make a nickel. I make nothing on YouTube. I make not a penny. I am not monetized on this, on the YouTube anymore. Perhaps if I get enough hours, 4,000 hours, perhaps they may bring me back into the program. But frankly, right now, we're not getting enough views that it matters anyway. But if you want to go to the podcast or one of my playlists, such as the live shows, and start it before you leave for the weekend, knock yourself out. Could always use the watch time. And war destroys the environment. Yeah, I really don't want to hear about environmental stuff from people that are bombing the hell out of the world and, destroying pipelines and things like that. Maybe you should keep your mouth shut about the environment, because nothing I do is nearly as bad as the worst environmental disaster that we've had, which was destroying the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Right? There's nothing, the plastic straws or, driving a couple extra miles or something like that is nothing compared to the damage done to the earth from the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. So if you were part of that, Biden, just shut up about the environment. I don't want to hear it. We Lounge closed in 2013, Tom. Just looked it up. It's Fred's Texas hamburger joint now. Or maybe they moved. 2013. Wow. Well, it's been a while since I've checked in with the Wee Lounge in Fort Worth, Texas. It was on a roundabout, and it was a great dive bar. And what was hilarious is they burned down while I was there, and they rebuilt exactly the same. They didn't change anything at all, except the ceilings were a little cleaner. Let's say it's like, and Carmen Michelle over on Rumble says it's like we're living a game of Fallout in real life. Indeed, it does feel that way sometimes. So anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for sticking around through the whole thing. Just as a reminder, hit the damn like button. I appreciate you for doing that. Share the video if you like. And I will be back on Monday with another show. Have a glorious weekend. Peace.